I love yautjas, okay? I don't want to hear nothing. The yautja is represented all over this place. I was literally saying, and oh my god, where is it? I was redoing everything in the studio, so I'm sorry if everything's all hectic, but I literally said to somebody, I go, there's so much yautja stuff all around my studio that the alien, the xenomorph, is so underrepresented. And then somebody got me an alien Pikachu, and isn't that the coolest thing? It's a literal xenomorph Pikachu. It's one of my favorite things. I was so happy. I'm so used to my Predator movies being trash that I'm like, oh my god. Is this the Citizen Kane of alien films? No, it's not. Is this way better than we've been getting? Hell yeah. I loved this. I loved this movie. I thought it was really good, and it's because, guess what? We've been getting trash-ass Predator films. Do you want to know the last one I really liked? Because this is just going to be... I'm trying to do a review, but I just can't because... I want to talk about the Predator. The last one I really loved was that one with Adrian Brody, where they were put on a planet and they were being hunted like, it was like a preserve. And I really liked that one. And then they were like, no. And I was like, stupids. I don't know. I'm just saying, this was good. Get the year. And I was like, holy shit. Is that gun going to tie back to Danny Glover and Predator 2? Because I love Predator 2. And I don't know, do people not like Predator 2? It's insanity. Predator 1 is the best. Predator is one of my favorite films of all time. I'm telling you, it's in my top 3. It's like Jaws, The Lion King, and Predator. And I'll argue for any of those all day, every day on the block by myself. I don't care. But I like Danny Glover's Predator 2. I like it, and I don't care. But it tied back to that, and I loved it. I was like, no way, dude, and I loved that. Can we just do that? I was gonna rewrite my notes because they're terribly written. They look like chicken scratches, and they're on the backs of other notes. And because I wasn't planning on it, I was like, oh shit, it's out. The dog. We were really feeling for that dog, huh? He was great. Whoever worked on this costuming of these indigenous people needs to be nominated for an award because this is absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful. The shots in this are beautiful. I loved the stuff. It was almost like a horror film sometimes, but the shots from above were gorgeous. But the costuming in this, whoever did this needs to be nominated, in my opinion. We start off with this girl. She's trying to hunt, and I really liked it. And I remember her name is Naru because it's like Sailor Moon's best friend. And otherwise, I'm going off of, I just finished watching this. Like, I'm going right from sitting on my couch watching this to now doing this with you guys. So, some of my notes might be off. A big emphasis on community in the beginning and the roles that people play. And this movie, in all aspects, that's why there's no subtitles, but you don't need them. This is the perfect thing to explain. When I tell people, I'm like, film is fundamentally different. When people talk about things being adapted, I'm like, okay, imagine going up to somebody using watercolor and you're like, hey bud, you can't use that no more. You gotta use oil pastel. They're gonna go, that's a fundamentally different medium, buddy. Like, what do you mean here? Because on film, we can only see and hear what the screen shows us. And this movie is a perfect example of that, where it's like, we don't need to know what they're saying. We don't need to have French subtitles. We don't need to have the indigenous language being subtitled, because we can feel it as the audience through what the characters are doing and what the filmmakers are showing us on the screen. Did like that they included trapping. Because trapping is a huge thing, and that's why, like, there's a lot of French stuff in Michigan where I'm at, like Detroit, and it was Detroit, and it's because of the fur trade, and because the French were living that life around here and doing that. And my ex, I have a really funny story. He was all into trapping, and I think it's inhumane. I don't like it. But either way, he's a good guy. I live in Michigan. I throw a rock, somebody hunts, okay? So everybody hunts, but he specifically would go trapping, and he thought it would be smart to go and do the old frontier routes that guys like these people used to do up in the UP and crap. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this beaver trapping shit. And I was like, yeah, okay, you smoke a pack a day, good luck, bud. And he was like, this was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And he was like, I was out there for so long. And I was cracking up. He was like, oh my god. He was like, it was so... And then all I could think was we wouldn't have survived. We wouldn't have survived back in the day because... We see the drop-off of the Predator. She takes it as it's a sign, and it kind of is. It's kind of about about growing up. But here's the thing. Here's what the yautja lover in me really loved, okay? We have this girl going through this coming of age story, and we are shown this passage to become an adult, or a hunter in this case. The predator and her are literally on the same journey, and that to me is sick. When we got to see the skull cleaning, oh my God, I was geeking out. I loved that. You get these trophies. You go mano a mano with the biggest and the baddest on that planet, and you come back an adult. And if they can get past, and then they are welcomed into the tribe as official yautja hunters. And she wants the same thing. And I liked that they were both doing this ceremonial thing. But one's an alien that we all love and remember. But even her story, and I would say the first half hour kind of goes slow a little bit, but you get to know her so well and this life so well. So you get immersed in this in the first 30 seconds. You're like, wow. Okay, like I said, I can't speak more highly about the costuming in this. And I thought the actors were great in it. But yeah, we are very heavy on community. These are your roles. This is what your dad wanted. This, that, and the other thing. You look at your brother. But I really liked that they weren't going, here, ladies can do stuff. Her brother, nobody's opposing what she's doing. Nobody's saying you can't go. She can go do stuff. There's just the one guys that give her flack. But the brother's more saying, I support you, but it'd be a lot easier if you just went home or whatever. But it's there wasn't an adult or a person in charge of her going you're not allowed to do that. It's just man, do you got to do that? Blah, blah, blah. And it's almost like a personal goal. And then it doesn't feel gross. Here, ladies can do stuff too, remember? But there is a heavy emphasis on community and showing that. And that's what I'm saying here. By using the indigenous language at some points, because there are some, I just heard that they are going to release a cut where it's totally in that, and I'm no, do you remember the original Predator? There's not a lot of dialogue in that. There's not a lot of dialogue in this. This is just seeing and showing us, and like I said, whether they're speaking English, the indigenous language, or French, we know what's going on, and that speaks volumes. And even the ceremonial stuff, in the beginning with the brother and at the end with her, it hits emotionally no matter what language they're speaking. I was getting goosebumps because you knew what was going on. It was important. It was a big deal. But through the pictures on the screen, which is called a movie, and because we're so immersed in this, it does not matter what language people are. We know that this is how it's supposed to feel. I loved that there were references to mud several times, because we all know that Arnold smears himself in mud. We even got the shot of her crawling out of the creek like Arnold, which I didn't mind. I did not mind the callbacks in this. I didn't think they were cheesy. I was I really, really love this a lot. And if you noticed, which I really liked this, the Predator gets dropped off for his hunting challenge or rite of passage right as she's being sent out to gather and to use it for medicinal stuff, which tends to be a female role. So it's oh, I'm out doing this inherently female thing, and that's when I get my sign and see this dude get dropped off. I see what you did there. But this is what I mean. When she shows up and the guys all start talking shit, it's more going in, well, until it gets way more intense, it's more almost in a teenage movie when the wrong person shows up at the hangout spot and you're man, what the hell? We don't want to hang out with you. It was more like that, which is more accurate. And going no, I can do this. I know I can do this. Me not having a wiener isn't going to hold me back, but that doesn't feel forced. And I liked the way they did it, where it's oh, we were already out. We run into each other. And I liked that the brother covered for her in a really brotherly way. That's what you would do. It's I made you, you damn well better find them, because now it counts on it, asshole. I covered for you back there. And I loved that sibling dynamic in this. Throughout the entire movie, we have constantly on screen a predator versus prey scenario going on. We have her hunting in the beginning, and then we have them going after the lion. Then we have a snake versus a rat, and then the predator taking the snake out, saying, oh, there's always something that's bigger and badder. I love seeing that his technology wasn't as advanced because we're hundreds of years back. So he still has way more technology than who he's fighting, but the predator isn't as advanced. And that's what I was most excited to see them do. And I will say these are some of the most creative kills I've ever seen. But the fact that the predator knows medicine and she knows medicine, that's not, to the predator, that's not an inherently male or female trait, because that's one of the excuses the brother gives. The brother says, and she knows medicine. The predator does too. When they started finding the skinned animals, that was really gross, but I liked it. The brother's gone, and that's when we get her getting ganged up on by all these guys. And if you saw my reaction on Snapchat, at first I was like, no, the brother's going to come in. The brother's going to show up. And then I was like, no, the predator's going to show up, because he's going to see them as the attackers. And she's going to be like, what was that? But then I was like, no, have her save herself. Have her fight back. And they had a straight up brawl until they started ganging up on her. She was throwing down. And I loved that scene. That was a great scene of going, because I was sitting there waiting. I'm like, the brother, no. And then I was like, the predator. And I was like, oh, she's actually going to fist fight and lose and get tied. Okay. But she fought back herself, and she was giving it back for a minute there. Both times on the way to the finding the lion, and even them describing the lion and everything like that, and the trip back when everything starts to go down, both feel like a horror film at some times, especially with those shots from above. I felt like I was watching a scary movie all by, and then I'm like, wait, it's the Predator. I had to keep reminding myself, like, oh, remember they kept giving us trash Predator movies? I'm watching a Predator movie right now, and I could nitpick the CGI, but I would say the worst of it is, like, the lion and the animals, but the Predator looks great. And there's a couple times when he's like moving through the trees where it's like, okay, he looks great. I wrote in my notes, holy shit, did you really need to cut the head off? But you realize that's part of the ritual that they're doing, is to do that. And I like that it's with the brother and then it's with her at the end. The absence of music at points made this even better. But the use of drums and the use of war drums at some points was perfectly placed, but was also very reminiscent of the original. That score's great, but think about it. But the absence of sound in this is what made it even scarier, and making a lot of it in daylight, and that's hard to do CGI in too. That made it even scarier. And this is what I mean. Later on, we get coyote versus rabbit, predator versus coyote. We keep getting that predator-prey dynamic on screen. I liked that transition. It goes from him when he disemboweled that coyote, or was it supposed to be a wolf? Whatever. That was cool. But then that transition to her trying to shoot the rabbit. And it's a constant predator versus prey mentality. And we got to see skull cleaning. And the skull cleaning was my fave. Oh, and the predator going into cloak mode when you heard the dog barking was really cool. God, let's talk about, if you've never seen a buffalo, they're enormous. There's a reason why, like, buffalo are a big deal, especially, like, in Native American ceremonial things, and, like, because they fed them, they clothed them. They're a big deal. A buffalo is a big deal, and it's very intimidating, and it's really tough, and it's really scary, and to see them all dead and gross like that was really super sad. And I really liked it when she was like, no. And that showed the predator, like, oh, someone out here isn't doing this, and there's something in someone worth fighting. And that was cool. But she does that in her native language. And it's so, but we get the feeling. We know exactly where she's saying a prayer of some sort to this animal and what happened to them. And we're all feeling the same thing, going, oh my God, gross. You did this, and just, it's disrespectful. There's a buffalo farm on the way to my cabin. And if you're not prepared to see a buffalo on the side of the road, I'm telling you, they're enormous. If you've never seen a buffalo, you don't know. They are huge, intimidating creatures. Oh, and when they pulled the whole Swamps of Sadness on me, it was like Atreyu in the Neverending Story when she sunk into that, and then I was like, oh my God, quicksand really exists. Someone told me there's quicksand by my lake. I'm like, is there? I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's mud, quicksand, whatever, that she got stuck in, then she uses that to get him stuck. That's what I mean with bringing the mud up. But then we get the fight I didn't think I needed in my life. We got the predator just straight fisticuffed with a fucking bear, and it was so cool. It was so cool. I didn't know I thought we were going to get what we saw in the trailer. No. No. We saw the Predator piecing up a bear and them going for it. And then he holds it up and blood rains down on him to make his figure. And I didn't know that I needed that image in my life, but I did. I think I lost a whole page of notes. 5. No, there's a 6 somewhere. I found it. Oh, first the Predator takes out the guys that took her captive after her brother got swooped. That was awesome. That was when I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. What are you... Some of these kills, the chopping off of limbs was getting wild. It was awesome. But then she gets snatched up by some Frenchmen doing some trapping. And they're the ones who messed up the buffalo. And they're really gross. But then we see that they have the brother too. That was the only thing I was like, that's a little much. What are the chances you get 2 siblings from the same family? But, nonetheless, that's the one thing I was like, But after that I was like, no, this is so much better than anything we've gotten in so long that I'm not going to nitpick that. And it is plausible. But they link up, and they're put out as bait. And they realize, they're like, he don't hunt like that. He don't want to come after bait. He wants to go after the hunters. We know what the deal is, and they're figuring it out. I really loved that scene. I loved that sibling dynamic, and I loved those actors together. But when they brought back, if it bleeds, we can kill it, I audibly yelled, and I loved it. And I loved that no matter what, that brother was hyping himself up. I loved that brother knew what the deal was. Same thing as the original. Just like how Billy cuts his chest and he knows what the deal is in Predator, and he's like, no, go. And Arnold Schwarzenegger knows. There's no telling him. We gotta keep going. Like, he's staying back. He's either gonna win or he's not. And he's hyping himself up anyway. And that's what the brother was doing. And I loved that. And I was like, oh my God. He knows what the deal is, and he's like, I know what it is, and you don't realize what it is. You better get ready, because we're going to have to fight. I couldn't appreciate more that we went back for the dog. When she got the gun that eventually Danny Glover gets, when she goes back to their little camp, that was great. And you see her to go, like, I'm total going crazy mode after we lose the brother. And that was some of the coolest choreography of a fight that I've seen in a long time. I think the only thing that I was like... The only thing better choreographed than this is John Wick, because this is sick. The fight with the brother was so fucking cool. So then she's like, nope, it's on. I lost my brother. I lost the whole crew. All these hunters are out. She tries helping the one. He gives her the Danny Glover gun. Get the dog. We got the dog. The dog is safe. And not only is the dog safe, the dog becomes integral to the fight with the Predator, which made it even better. But I will say, I thought their mano a mano wasn't as compelling, but it's facts. Like, think back to the Predator, the original Predator movie. It's traps. It's being smart. It's placing him in a weird way. And so he gets thrown out. It's being human. It's going, hey, I can figure things out and use thumbs, and you're an idiot alien, and I'm coming for you. You might be big and bad, but can I outsmart you? That's what Arnold has to do, too, and that's what she did, and I really liked it, because at first I was like, man, you really just blew him in the back of the head? That's stupid, and I was upset. I was like, if this is how the Predator goes out, that's some bull. But then we brought back the helmet, and I was like, and the Swamps of Sadness. I liked it. I didn't mind it. Was this the greatest film ever made? No. Am I like, hell yeah, we finally got the Predator-verse back on track? Yes, and it's really good. And like I said, the use of native language, and I give anything mad credit when it does stuff like this, but it's so well used. And like I said, the use of just not having subtitles, because I kept waiting for them to pop up, and I'm like, but you didn't need them. You don't need the subtitles. You don't need to know what they're saying. You know the vibe. So it's like, I love this movie. It's like a perfect thing to use as an example when I go, pictures on a screen telling a story. You know what the deal is with this, and it's great. I'm telling you, man, I thoroughly enjoyed this. And I don't know what other people are saying about it. I heard that there was hype around it at Comic-Con. I heard it got a standing ovation, like people were geeked, and I was like, but is it? And then I was worried, and then I was like, no, this is good, and it felt really tense and scary at some points, and the kills were super creative. It was cool. This is a cool movie, and I say that all the time. I'm like, that's why I made my channel. Like, that was the funnest part about working on the assembly line with 100 million other people that all look different, are different ages, different walks of life, and you're like, what are you watching? What are you watching? What do you like? I like this better. Why? I don't know, because he's big and cool. I love yautjas. I love the Predator. And I want to see that franchise continue and tell good stories, because the original Predator, I'm thinking about doing a video right after this one about why it's my favorite, but that has heavy themes in it too. But this did a really good job of going, here, we're telling a story, and it's a condensed little story, and you brought the Predator back. Well, thank you. Him not having art, I could just keep going. I'll just not stop saying how much I liked this, because I love the Predator. I stan him. He's the best. Also, he was like dismantling the patriarchy all on his own. Did you see him? He was like, oh yeah, no, we don't. Yautjas, I honestly think that was part of it. It's like, we don't discriminate. We're just coming for you. If you like the Predator, watch this movie. You don't even have to know all the stupid little, not stupid, but me overanalyzing and telling you all that. It's like, no, if you just want to watch awesome kills and awesome fights, turn this movie on. It's great. It's awesome. And sometimes it's scary, and I like it a lot. But don't have children around, because just like any Predator movie, it's extremely violent. And I don't know why people were buying it, the first one, for me when I was 6. No one questioned it. And I watched that on the daily.